Hi, this is Jason Major from the Biblical Cinematic Universe, introducing you to the Biblical Comic Universe, where I will cover comics based on the Bible, whether they're written by Christians or just written as people who love the Bible, or Christian comic books, so all the range of the Christian comic books that I have, and then comic books that are mainstream that have explicitly Christian themes or characters in it. So whether we have a character going to church, or whether there's Jesus or other biblical or Moses or other biblical characters appearing in the story. So I'm going to do one comic per video just to make them shorter videos for you, so that you don't have to watch like a 10-minute, 15-minute video. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Amazing High Adventures number 5, and this is an anthology series that Marvel did, kind of similar to their Epic line, which was a creator-owned line. And it was in 1986, and it had various stories like of high adventure and kind of like adventure serials. Although you could say it's for adults or mature readers, for the most part they're just like historical adventure stories. It's not like they were explicit or anything, but they were more like adventure stories or set in adventure periods like World War One, and you have a Bible story in here, and then you have some other more fantasy stories, and so it's kind of like an anthology series. But the only story I'm highlighting right now is going to be the story by Mike Baron, who wrote Punisher. He wrote comic books like The Punisher, which I'll review in our time. And he wrote David and Goliath. And it literally is the biblical story of David and Goliath. So this is not a Bible comic book. This is just an anthology comic. But Mike Baron decided that he wanted to specifically tackle the David and Goliath story. The artwork is by Thomasina Cawthorn artist, which I've never heard of before. John Beatty did the inks, who did a lot of mainstream work, so he might be more recognized by people, but a lot of people don't know who inkers are. So there you have Goliath there. Yeah, that's awesome. And it starts off simply in 1 Samuel 17, verse 2, and then you have David is presented here, and just as in the Bible story, so it's right straight from the Bible. Everything in this is pretty much straight from the Bible, actually. Where you have David, he's a young man, he's a shepherd, and he goes to his brothers, and he says, how long has the giant of Gath faced us? So how long has Goliath been taunting us? And he says, for 40 days, which is significant, because by both the number 40 was significant, like the 40 days of the flood, 40 days in the wilderness. And then, of course, David says, what, 40 days? Who is this filthy Philistine to defy the might of the living God? Someone ought to go down there and cut his head off. And then people say, "Oh, man, Israel, we have a champion." And then in this version, it says that David, son of David, had spoken out of pride and youthful ignorance. That's something I would think that you'd want to study in your Bible. When you read the Bible story of David and Goliath, do you see it as David speaking out of youthful ignorance and out of pride that he said, I want to chop the head off of this Goliath, or was it something more? Was it that was it courage? Was it that he was inspired to? Remember, this story actually does take place after David has been already anointed by the prophet Samuel to become the future king of Israel. So, a lot of good questions. It is interesting to note that that's the first time we see David speak in the Bible is this quote, and then people are asking him, like, then he sort of says, what if, his brothers accuse him of pride, basically, and arrogance. And then, so you have him go to Saul, and Saul's portrayed in the bottom right corner there. And then and just the simple story is that the king talks to him, and then David picks his stones in the river, that you know about. And then, of course, Saul wants to fit him in his armor, and he says no. And then David goes to fight Goliath, and Goliath is kind of like, what are you doing? Like, this is ridiculous. So you can see some of the art. I'm not showing you everything because you can. I want you to be able to get the book one day. And then David fights Goliath, and David Goliath's laughing right there. And then you have boom. You have look at that, look at that, look at that. That's cool. I think that looks good. I think their work looks pretty good here, even for an artist who I've never heard of before. And we'll go here, and then here, boom. I'll get my finger out of the way on this page. So yeah, David swings, crack, and then you see David cutting off the head of Goliath, and then finally it shows what happens next, and it only goes as far as King Saul basically saying, I'm going to have you enter in my court. It does reference the fact that Saul says that you were playing instruments for me before. That was in the Bible where Saul was being tormented by an evil spirit, and so David was asked before he was even around the same time where Samuel anoints him to be future king, to go into Saul's court and minister to him. And then it ends with that just very quick summary that David became the future king. So really well done, cool artwork, but just a neat little nostalgic thing that most people wouldn't know about. A Bible story in here. Probably will never. I would love to see that reprinted somewhere. But yeah, just another great find where you can find cool Bible stories. And this one I give it is a really biblical one. There's nothing in it it's not trying to dismiss the Bible or anything. So it's just an adaptation of the Bible story. So cool story in a Marvel comic book. Marvel's Amazing High Adventures number 5 with a story of the David and Goliath. Until next time, Biblical Cinematic Universe, Biblical Comic Universe.